Good morning, Lafayette. What a great morning. I call it great because I'm a weatherman and we like windy weather, rainy weather, snowy weather. We actually like sunny weather too, but we like a little bit of everything. And when there's some excitement in the air, and the excitement was the power went out 10 minutes before the top of the hour. And here it is, 20 after. Not bad. I got on air in about 5 minutes. That worked out pretty good. Hopefully you all can hear me right now. I am your weatherman, meteorologist, Brian Burden. Yes, windy forecaster for 40-something years now it is. Wow, that's been a long time, that's for sure. But I am here to talk to you today about winds and the weather and, of course, everything that we can talk about. We're going to talk a little bit of sports, too, because Purdue had a ball game last night. That is for sure. I'm trying to figure out all these new things that I got going with OBS. I think I'm out on the air right now, actually talking to you for the first time in a while. Looks like my camera went down a little bit. Look at this. Okay, they say don't do that when you're on air, but hey, had to make sure it's lined up and straight. I am going out on my older channel, my Burden on Society channel, for a reason. I just want to kind of get everything together. And Let's Lafayette channel, I'm kind of going to slowly move everything over to here so that we've got it and we know where everything is going on any given day. So join in on the chat if you get a chance. Let me know what's going on in your life and where you are. And I'm going to try to pop up all kinds of different things on my screens and get moving through life as we do this here in Lafayette. There it is. Let's talk Lafayette. Let's see what's going on our screens and what life is bringing us this morning. And you can see there, I was fighting a little bit of everything this morning. So now I'm going to pop through and get to the information I normally go to. Let's hit it straight up. What's the temperature? It's 45 degrees outside right now. Partly sunny. Windy conditions. We know it's windy. We know we're in a wind advisory until 8 o'clock tonight. Yes, it will be fairly warm. We're going to see a high temperature somewhere, it looks like, in the low to maybe even mid-50s. Sunshine is out and about. I've seen it this morning, or I have seen it. Let's call it that way. As I was sitting out in my kitchen just waiting for the power to come back on. I was surprised. I thought it'd be a few hours. Guys got it up and running in less than a half hour, it seems like. I don't know what happened. Doesn't matter. Not going to go tip mount, figure it all out right now because I'm talking to you right now. And we're going to talk a little bit about what we are going to see here in the Lafayette area, what we are going to encounter as we go through the next couple of days. I'm trying to figure out sizes of what you can see and what you can't see. And I kind of see that you can't see the 45 right now. All right, there we go. Kind of move that over so we can kind of see where we're going with that. And then we have to squeeze in the other side to make sure we can see all of that. Right, there we go. All right, so how about that? We got most of it there. You can see most of what's going on. You can kind of see the top of my screen. I'll figure these sizes out as we go along. But 45 today for right now is your current temperature. 52 for a high somewhere there. Look at this, 45, 68, 28. Let's see if this is correct. Let's see how much of this data you see right here is actually correct. This is the one I'm worried about. Sunday night into Monday, because it could be thunderstorms overnight and then snow on Monday. All right, that's the big one there. And plus it's going to go from 68 to 28, 40-degree drop pretty quick there, all the way down to maybe 12 on Tuesday night into Monday. It'll be Monday night into Tuesday morning, I think. So let's get hot and bothered by all of this stuff. You know, I also did something here real quick. Do I even have it up here anymore? I do not. Unfortunately, I'll have to figure out where that is. A thing that I could draw on the charts. I don't think it was going out, though. But maybe it will go out over OBS. I'll have to figure out where that is and get through that with some time. All right, so here's the good news. I can click on all kinds of different places and go to different pages and figure stuff out pretty quickly without having all of these different tabs opened up, right? So I can get rid of a tab, get into a tab. Let's go to the cameras, right? We want to see what's going on in the world. Are there any overturned trucks? We don't want to see that. We don't want to see anybody get hurt. But Is there something out there we need to worry about? Let's take a look at this. There you go. Beautiful day, sunny skies. Do see a few clouds out there on the horizon. I do see some pretty good weather, though, really. Roads are dry. Not much happening. I don't see any semis down, no accidents. Not heard of anything as of late. We come in down all the way to Lafayette at 43, and we're looking pretty good there where it meets 65. No problems on that front. So the map today is showing good weather. Let's go way down by Frankfort. Let's see what Frankfurt's exit's looking like right now. They're sunny also, so very good. Still some standing water. Still some standing water in some of the fields down there towards Frankfort. Let's come back up to the Dayton one here. I think we can see some fields here too. But no standing water in any of our fields. Now, that could be just because it's not near the camera, but that's something to keep in mind. Over the next few weeks as we start to plant. A lot of different things are going to get planted in the next 6 weeks to 8 weeks, all right? So we don't need the flooded fields, that is for sure. And here you are on almighty 26 looking towards the north, and there are just some clouds way out on the horizon. What kind of clouds are they? What are we talking about? Now let's get into some actual weather information. I mean, you know, looking at the cameras is actual weather because you got to know what's going on outside, right? Let's take a look at the satellite. And as par normal, I will switch it over to the infrared, even though we're a little later in the morning here. I'm also going to put some stuff on here so we can figure out where we're going. Interstates, counties kind of help me. I'm not sure what helps you, but that usually does it for me pretty well. We'll put it into the loop category and let it go. And you will be able to see, first off, here's the storm that has gone through, I guess you would call it going through, that is creating all the wind, all right? This is the big low, the big intensity of the system. Not a lot of precipitation with this system at all. It is a wind maker. The system way out here off the coast that you can just see is the one that went through a couple days ago, produced a lot of that rain showers, a lot of that rain that we saw with that system. This one, big wind maker. Let's come in a little closer. Let's go to the subsectors. That's a little too close. Let's go sub-regionals. There we go. Come on. Catch up. There we go. Let's see what it looks like a little closer in. There we go. I finally got it. It took about 16 clicks on that. All right, Lafayette is right about here. Just to give you an idea, you notice we just cleared out. Everything cleared out of our region. Everything looks nice. Because it looks like the roads don't have any rain on it, I'm going to assume that most of us did not see rain. But the farther north you were last night, overnight, the better chance you ran into some rain in the forecast and what we saw that we could see. Remember, the models were kind of mixed. One had it below us and maybe pushing a little south with some of the rain. Most of the models had it north of us, and we were going to go with kind of that idea with maybe just a slight chance of some rain. And it looks like you can see where the thickest bands are out here, and that the rain has pretty much cleared. I'm going to go in even closer. Let's go in close, real close to Lafayette. There you go. Pinpoint Lafayette real fast. You see how we open up. We do see some lower clouds spinning around the main low, which you can pretty much put right about there, getting ready to cross Lake Michigan. There are no troughs behind it, although you can kind of see where there's maybe the cold air is bottled up and some of the stratus clouds are starting to show here. Remember, we know some cold air is going to come firing down with this system tonight, all right, and that's going to reinforce all of our cold weather for tomorrow, it looks like. So lots of spring weather where we're up and down and up and down. And we're going to see temperatures anywhere from 12 to like into the 70s this week. So low teens to 70s. That's a big spread, and we generally call that spring. Yes. All right. All right. So here we go. Let's see what else we have on the weather front here. But now the satellite's in there close. Let's go in one more closer just so you can see that we can do that. There it is. Look how close it is there. You're not going to pick up a ton here with this, looking at this view. You can see some of the lakes and the rivers pretty easily, right? Look at this one. There you go, right down the Wabash pretty easily. You can see where the temperature difference is between right inside the valley of the river and the Tippecanoe going up this direction pretty easily. That's pretty nice to see on that front. Okay, so we've got that there. Now, what are we going to be looking at, though, rain-wise with this? Let's pop back out and see if there is any areas that are in that. There we go. Let's see where the rain was in there real fast before we go to our charts, all right? There it goes. So it does look like some rain maybe tried to sweep just across the area, but most of that doesn't look like even got to the ground. I think we can come in closer on this one and then take a look at that. You can see probably the yellows and the greens that you're seeing here maybe hit the ground. So maybe some sprinkles went through a couple hours ago. That's about it. And the model was pretty good. One had it just a little south. Most of it had it just a little north. Looks like and of course, these were thunderstorms that popped up out in front of the system we did not see at all. So we were good on that front. All right, so let's go straight into what are we seeing over at the College of DuPage. Her model, let's go straight into it. The model, what is it saying about the precipitation? Here we are at a pretty wide spot. We're 64% done with the model, so it's pretty far out there at this point. Gives us, you can see the low. Now, it's got the low farther north than what it kind of looks like in the satellite, like it's here, right? But I can't pinpoint it myself. I'd have to look at some of the readings of the pressure around the system, what's the wind doing, that kind of thing, to pinpoint it more, right? We're trying to look where a swirl is. Sometimes it's not as accurate as we think it is. So the low is up over to the north. It doesn't drag any more rain or snow in with us. This is as we go through the day today. But what I do see is it looks like a little less wind today. 16, 17 Z. All right, so now we're at 18Z. We're at 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's still windy, but it seems like this gradient is a little less than yesterday. Not much, just a little less. Does that mean anything? Really, that means 40 miles an hour instead of 50 is what it means. It's still gusty winds. And maybe a quicker slowdown of the speeds this evening as we get into the evening hours. The low goes along to the north and just kind of leaves us alone, and then we get some snow, what looks like possibility of some snow coming real close to us tonight. And we've been watching this. Remember, in the last couple days, one model showed it as a blurb of stuff coming out. I guess you'd call it. That's my scientific word, a blurb, which is just a blob with a burb. I don't know what the herb is. It's a blurb. Well, you know what I'm talking about. It was just a patch of stuff that kind of came down across. Kind of looked like one of your clippers type systems. And it pushed it to the south of us at one point. At one point, it pushed it to the north. And then yesterday, it just kind of made most of it fell apart when it came through. Today, it's staying together. It's got this little finger of God pointing this direction. That's what that kind of looks like, doesn't it? And it gets very close to us right there, right along that front. And when we go in a little closer, we'll take a good look at it. But then it starts to crank up some of the southerly winds. Look at this. See how the 540 line went back to the north pretty quickly this evening, right? So there's our cool down during the day today. We stay cold. Then tonight we start to warm back up a little bit, and the winds start to come in from the south a little bit more as the next system starts to approach us. This big system that we're watching, and this is the first tinglings of that system. Let's go out a little farther. Let's go out to the larger sectors, right, to the United States. Will it give me that opportunity? Doesn't look like it's going to. Wow. We've got everything else, but I can't get some large sectors on this. All right, so don't do that. But let's go over here real quick. There's your storm starting to come out of the Rocky Mountains, all right, in a couple of days, right? There it is. So it starts to show itself all the way out to us, but it's starting to come out of the Rocky Mountains here. The question is will it tap into a flow from the south, all right? Back towards our neck of the woods, and let's go in real close on this, and get a little bit better feel on this, all right? So here's Lafayette tonight. This is actually now tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, so we push it out. Remember, it's pretty quiet overnight. Temperatures drop down below freezing probably on this chart. We'll have to check that out. Lafayette, right about where I'm pointing everything, all right? Now, keep an eye on Lafayette and then watch the snow. There's just a little bit of blurbs. Looks like we're going to get some flurries maybe. And then look how close that is. Monticello looks like it gets some snow. Rensselaer gets some snow. Everybody gets a little bit of light snow. But this is so fleeting and fast, we're not talking about much. And all we got to do is take a look at the accumulations, and you can see little to nothing at all with that. But if you happen to be driving north or you're in these areas tonight, definitely something you're going to want to keep an eye on just to be safe. It doesn't look like it's much at this point, at least on that front. Now, what does it do temperature-wise to us? Remember, we said we're going to have these ups and downs. All right, so let's go to our surface temperatures here pretty quick. And what we're going to see right now is this morning, here we are in the 40s, right? We know we're going to climb up real quick. and we may get into the mid-50s. Matter of fact, the herd just doesn't want to get us out of 50. We're at 46 to 50. Monticello shows 50, 46 in Lafayette. This is at noon. And then 48 right before that for us. So somewhere around 11, 12, 1 o'clock, boom, we're going to start to just steady off and stay there. And, we get a little late day surge. There's a 50 at about 5 o'clock this afternoon, and then it just starts to drop off, and you can see the temperatures drop off tonight, down below freezing or right at it right there. By tomorrow morning, there's 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock. Temperature's not bad to the northwest of us, though. Look at that. We're only in the 20s up there. No single digits that we can see, at least on here as of right now. And then it should start to warm up pretty nicely during the day tomorrow. There you go. Starting to rebound quickly because our flow is now coming out of the southeast. It'll eventually shift its way around to the south as the day goes on tomorrow, and we will see more and more of that as we get in through the daytime frame. But wind gusts, let's go back to the wind gusts and see how bad it is locally. This is the local chart. We'll be able to show it to you pretty easily. Here we are at 9 o'clock this morning. This is where it said the winds were, and sure enough, we got that first burst of wind came through in the last couple of hours. Must have knocked down a tree and got my power lines. But the tip mount guys were out there taking care of it. I think it's tip mount who does our stuff in our area. And then we can see that there are a big band of wind coming across Lake Michigan, where you're talking 58 knots. Well, I mean, we're talking 65 miles an hour now here is what we're talking. And what's it right in the middle blurb shows a 62. You can find a 62 right in there. So across the lake, and then, of course, where does that go? That goes to right along the lake shore. It disperses very quickly. You notice it runs into the land, and there's not much there. But there's just nothing to stop the wind when it cuts across. This is the kind of thing we would see in Antarctica because there's ice. It's just a sheet of ice. So when winds would pick up, there was nothing to stop it until they ran into something, obviously, right? So you just keep going. And we're still looking at, look at these wind speeds here. You're in the 50s coming into the Chicago area. The Windy City is going to be windy. Not windy, windy for sure. All right. And for those who don't know, Wendy was a song back in the 60s or 70s, and we jokingly say windy, windy, Wendy. You know, that's kind of a weather thing. You got to be a weather nerd for that kind of thing to happen to understand it. All right, for us, though, here we are this morning. There it is. So how does our morning go along? Now, look at how the progression pushes the winds very quickly over here. And we're into the Ohio region pretty fast this morning, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and then it kind of goes fast. See, the system's moving quickly, so it's moving a lot of that wind off to our east already pretty quickly. It looks like the main big band for us has already gone through this morning pretty quickly, and then we just slowly die down as the day goes on. Very nice for us, all right? So here we are at 10 o'clock, and the winds have already pushed over towards Fort Wayne. Wow, the folks in Fort Wayne are seeing like 60 knots. We're going to have to check out their actual numbers here in a second or two and see what they have, all right? We'll see what they're running over at their airport here shortly. Matter of fact, let's just do it right now. Let me see if I can find it. Observational analysis. I do not know their names, so let's go to the surface maps. Let's go to the Midwest. See if we can get in a little closer. Surface, main, printable, raw, METARs by state. Going to Indiana. And I used to work over at Fort Wayne. There it is. 25 gusts to 37. They've had a gust to 47 already this last hour. So that is 55 miles an hour roughly. So you are cranking some wind over there at Fort Wayne. Anybody else cranking higher than that right now? Don't see anybody really even in that range. So that pocket is right there. Out at the Lafayette Airport, we're 19 gusts to 33, and we've had a peak wind of 36. So that's about 40 miles an hour for us in the last hour. So that's where we are right now. Who else in here has some pretty good winds? I'm seeing 40, gusts to 40 over in Muncie, gusts to 39 in Kokomo. So all the winds are up north, of course. What's South Bend look like? South Bend's gusts of 43 with a peak wind of 43. That was their peak, so they're at 50 miles an hour. So you can see the wind is out there. Valparaiso showing 41 with a peak wind of 43 also, so they're roughly 50. I'm just giving you some ideas on some of these places around. Gary shows gusts of 36, I think, right there. And then that's about it. So, Indianapolis right now, they got a gust of 46. Gust of 46 down at Indianapolis at the airport there. They got some open space around the airport as usual, as you would expect too. So gusts of 55 in that area, miles an hour, because these are knots. We work in knots in the weather field, just to give you a quick heads up on that. Let's go back to where we were. See if we can get, there we go. So there's the charts, right? And we saw that there's the gustiness down towards Indianapolis, over towards Fort Wayne, and definitely anywhere around the lake up here. We are on the backside of this system, not the backside, kind of where the backside of where the big winds are. But for the next hour or two, look for still some wind gusts to potentially 45, even maybe 50 miles an hour. Just isolated chance there on that at best. But 45 is not out of the question here over the next hour or two. And then slowly die down as the day goes on. Here we are. There's noon. 1 o'clock. It still shows 39 knots. Folks, that's 45 miles an hour. So we're up there still. And these are gusts. Your sustained winds will be like 20 to 30 with gusts of 44, 45, that kind of thing. That's how it works. You get the sustained wind at 20 to 30 miles an hour, but then you get these gusts that jump up there, and that's where we look for those strong gusty winds. And it just shows a steady 38 to 41 this afternoon, and then finally by about 5 o'clock, looks like about 5 o'clock, 36 miles an hour, 35 down knots, 33 on your gusts. So now we're at about, upper 30s for miles an hour, and 28, and then we start to die off overnight. So there we go. The wind bird is out of the area. And then by tomorrow morning, it's down to gust of 9, which is basically kind of calm winds with just a little, movement here or there. Is not much for wind at all. And then tomorrow looks pretty good. We're still pretty nice most of the day tomorrow. Then we start to see the influx of the next system coming. So by tomorrow evening, we start to pick our winds back up. We're seeing gusts back up to around 20 to 25 miles an hour, pretty consistent, and maybe even a little stronger as the system gets closer. But as I told you, that is our main flux of what's going to be happening with the system coming in. Let's go back and take a look at the precipitation. We have a little bit more of the model coming in right now. Then we are now up to 85% of the model in. And it goes out a little farther. Looks like there it goes. 41, 42. Doesn't really show any precipitation. I see some building precipitation north of us. That's something to keep in mind. But on our sectors, let's go just us here. There we go. We see the building storm out here on Sunday morning. So this is 2 o'clock in the morning Sunday. Saturday night over into Sunday, we start to see the winds. The winds are now coming from the southwest just about everywhere. We're still southeasterly, but still a warm wind for us, right? You can, here's the low. You can see where a nice warm patch of air has started already pushing its way up. It's the low itself is kind of undefined other than all this snow up here to the north. That is a lot of snow for the low just coming out. But look at this flow. This flow is from the south and from the southwest or southeast, depending on where you're looking at it on the chart. So you're going to get a lot of moisture coming up from the Gulf of America. That is for sure, it looks like, at least now on this front. So now let's tap into the NAM and see what the NAM says. The NAM goes out a little farther. Not a lot farther, but a little bit. And it shows the same thing, same time frame. It's got this low out here, right? Now look at right here. I see the first inklings of some rain in Arkansas on the chart. This is Sunday morning, again, at 2 o'clock in the morning. All right, so then here we are at 5 o'clock in the morning. We start to pick up a little bit of a chance for a shower in our area, maybe during the day. Looks like most of the day is going to be pretty good for us on Saturday into Sunday. So here's Sunday about 5 o'clock in the evening, and we have some showers off. It's these darker showers right here where I think thunderstorm potential is going to be. I haven't even had a chance to look at it. We'll get to look at it here shortly. But I would imagine there is going to be a line of thunderstorms that pops up just to our south. We're going to be on the northern edge of the really chance for severe weather. Remember, a couple days ago, we were on the southern edge of the severe weather, and it was kind of fine-tuned to our north. And it nailed it right on the nose. Well, I could see them with the thunderstorms being south of us, and people in southern Indiana, western Kentucky, western Tennessee. Bill, if you're checking in on me today and you see me on here, you know that's where the potential for some thunderstorms will be. Looks like Sunday night into Monday. Let's watch this as it progresses. You see how it gets darker and darker, but look we're right here And there's your northern edge of the real bad stuff, right? And so your potential for some severe weather is more down here, right? And as it crosses, does go by, probably some thunderstorms. And this is just before midnight Monday. Just before midnight Monday. And remember, the temperatures are going to be up a lot. They're going to be very warm right before this. And look what's on the backside. There's snow on the backside. So 1 in midnight, 11 o'clock, to 1 in the morning, you got thunderstorms coming through Saturday night into Sunday. And then, boom, some snow on the backside, which will have probably very little accumulation, but it's definitely something to watch on that. Look at how it spreads up there and gets thicker and thicker. Well, what if that's a little sooner? Now, the model says, what are we talking for snowfall? Nothing really for accumulations. It does say the folks on the backside of the Appalachians are going to get a good chunk, though, it looks like, from that and that system. Also, what are we talking? Let's go back to where we were with that winter. All right, there we go. Precipitation type. We can see it. We can see that it's going to get cold and chilly behind the system. I'm going to come back over here and we'll start going through it real quick here, and we'll look at the temperatures. All right, so the temperatures say this. They say, here we are today, and Lafayette is right here. Luckily for us, it puts 41 on here. It puts Lafayette on here, so you can kind of focus on that if you're really wanting to see what our temperature is at any given time. All right, this is 12Z Friday. We are 4-hour difference now, not 5 like we were last week before we changed clocks. So this was 8 o'clock this morning. It said we'd be 41, and sure enough, when I popped it up on there earlier, we had moved from 41 to 45, right? So what's it say for 3 hours later? It says 46. This is at 11 o'clock. This is at 2 o'clock. It says 51. How warm does it get compared to the other model? It gets us, keeps us right around 50. The Herwood had us in the low 50s, and then 45 there starts to cool us off by, that's 8 o'clock tonight, all right? And then so the system's gone by, and what does it do with our temperatures tonight overnight? Same temperature, somewhere there right around 31. Hey, not bad. Both models say 31 that you can see, so we would call it, I would probably go for 28, to 30 tonight is what I would probably go with. Definitely, it looks like spots around us are going to get into the low or upper 20s, low 30s, maybe even mid 30s, a little bit farther south down towards Terre Haute for that on that front. Now, let's watch what happens with the model as it gets in closer. Now, we know we have the building storm out there to the west, and tomorrow or Sunday, this would be Saturday. Doesn't look like it wants to get that warm, does it? Looks like we saw 50s on there. I saw 44, 45, so we're talking probably mid-40s tomorrow to upper 40s, all dependent on how much sunshine we see, of course, dependent on that. This is seasonal. This is where it should be for this time of the year, somewhere in the upper 40s for most of us. Doesn't drop much overnight, but then we start to see the influx. Look at this. This is in the morning hours on Sunday morning. The temperature starts to climb. By 11 o'clock Sunday morning, it's 56. In the morning, it's 46 at 8. It's 56 by 11, so it's going to jump quickly. And I see big numbers, 25 knots for winds. These are your sustained numbers, so your gusts are going to be kind of like we saw today, maybe not as windy, but it's drawing all this moisture up from the south, and it's also drawing up all of these temperatures from the south also. So there we go on Sunday. Look at this. Sunday, woohoo, all the way up to 63, but it's going to be very windy. That's your trade-off. 66. We're probably going to see 70. I would not be surprised if we see 70 by late Sunday afternoon, but upper 60s is almost a foregone conclusion. Just as it is a foregone conclusion that I will lose my voice here, and I need to start talking a little softer. Sorry about that, guys. Hopefully you get a chance to see it. Or hear it. Sorry about that. Okay, so the low is coming in. We know there's showers and thunderstorms starting to form off to our east. We're at 66 degrees at 8 o'clock at night. There we go. 59 degrees at 8. There we go. There's the numbers. 57 still at 11. And then, bam, the front goes through. And we go from 57 to 37 by 2 o'clock in the morning. So right around midnight, we're going to drop 20 degrees pretty quickly there. Hence, the difference. We always tell you that the thunderstorms form on big differences between temperature. Well, you're 60, 65 on one side, and you're 30, 35 on the other side, right? That's where your thunderstorms form. So it's an easy one. This is not your kid's thunderstorm and low pressure system. This is your grandpa's. This is a daddy system right here coming through. Maybe not the thunderstorms for us. Maybe those stay south of us, the bad ones. We still will probably see flashes of lightning and thunder, and we will get some gusty winds. But I think we're going to be just on the northern edge of the really, really bad, severe potential areas, which are going to be down south. Terre Haute, Vincennes, in Evansville. Those are the places just in Indiana that pop into my head that could be there. Of course, anybody in southern Illinois and western Kentucky and portions, almost all of the state of Tennessee will get swept over at one point or another. All right, so here we are at 2 in the morning. We dropped off to 37, and then it's 31 by 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's 27 by the time you go off to work at 8 o'clock. It's now 27. There's a 20-knot wind, and you have wind chills 0 to 10, all right, roughly. 5 to 10 at the very least, 5 to 15. You were just 65 degrees just 6 to 12 hours earlier. Now, all of a sudden, you got a wind chill of 10. And you're like, whoa, what happened, Brian? And I'm just here to tell you we saw it coming, right? All right. And we see single-digit temperatures off to our northwest during the day. All right. So that's an indicator, too. Look how cold it was overnight that night. It got down to 0 overnight Monday morning to our northwest. And where are we pulling all of our wind from? Look at all the wind. You can see how tight these isobars are together, these lines, these dark lines, isobars. Where they are very tight together is where it is windy. Where they are far apart is where there is less wind. And when you look at the wind barbs, you see that. You see 2 dashed lines on the back of this wind barb pointing towards from the, we'll call it west-northwest at 20, right? 20 knots is what that means. 2 long lines. Now, a long line and a short line is 15 knots. So basically, the long lines are 10. Now, when you get to a triangle, that's 50. All right, so when you see those, all right. Now, out here, you see one little small wind barb on there. It's 5 knots. There's nothing to worry about. Remember, wide open spot, very little wind out here, right? Where the high pressure system is behind the low. And look at where the high digs in. It's digging down across Nebraska and Kansas, which is going to allow all of this cold air to be funneled down. The low is circulating counterclockwise, right? So now once it passes, it pulls wind out of the north. The high behind it, because we're going to go low, high usually, right? Kind of goes high, low, high, low, high, low all the way around the world. The high behind it is now clockwise, right? And it is pulling winds also out of the north. So you have now the two systems together. Then closer to the low, the winds are stronger. Closer to the high, they're weaker. But they're both pulling winds out of the north. And we are going to see temperatures bottom out pretty good over the next couple days after that. The highs on Monday look like they're only in the 20s. And with a 20 knot wind all day, right? So you're talking wind chills right around 0 to 10. On Monday morning. Monday morning during the day, it looks like a foregone conclusion. So let's go out to the European model and see what it says. It says it's only 60% done, so I'm going to go out to its 00Z mark and just see what it had on its model run there. It shows us a 28 during the day, 25. Look how cold it gets overnight. It does the same thing. We're down around 12, 13, somewhere maybe 15 for a low on Tuesday morning, and it still shows 15 miles an hour wind. So we're going to be borderline minus 10 to 0 for some wind chills in some spots, especially if we get down to 10 to 13 with a 15 mile an hour wind. That's what you'll be looking at Tuesday morning. Very chilly, very cold, and then it stays cold again on most of Tuesday, only getting into the upper 20s. So there you go, a couple days in a row in the 20s. We don't rebound much overnight. Wednesday night, or this would be Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, we're still in the 20s. That's not bad. That's better than down around 12 like we were looking at, right? And then we get into the 40s, upper 40s to near 50 on Wednesday. We're getting this nice rebound. The high is now passed off to the south. It's way down over here, and now we're starting to get another southerly flow coming in. And what will that do? That will allow the next system to come in, right? It's spring. So here we go. What is that? 60, 62, 63 on Thursday. What is it going to be on Friday? Oh, I saw 71 there on Friday. Look at that. This goes in 3-hour chunks. That's why it's going so fast. And we see a 71 on Friday next week. And then we're still in the 70s. Oh, there's a 70. Oh, look at that. 80 degrees right there over in Rantoul. Yeah. Maybe, yeah, it's going to be pretty warm there next Friday and Saturday. Going to be getting all your vehicles out. We'll have to look for rain here in a second. We're just looking at temperatures right now. But then it drops off some 30s. So some kind of front's going to go through there. It doesn't look like it's a big front. Doesn't do a lot with our temperatures, although it looks like we may still have some 20s there. Below freezing again, still late March. And is it going to give us a big cold push at the end of the month? We do not see it. See, yesterday there was this big cold push for the end of the month. Now this is March 28th, all right? So this will be Friday, March 27th at the nighttime. We see lots of warm, but I do see a pretty good system right here. Will it bring and filter in some cold air? We'll have to see. We'll have to go to the GFS, but let's take a look. Yeah, let's just go straight to the GFS and see what it says for its temperatures. It shows 60s, right near 70, and it does not bring in that big cold push like it did yesterday. So see why you cannot get yourself stuck on these guys saying 2 weeks from now, look at this, we're going to die in the cold. Don't think about that. We're just going through them, talking about them. The trends now look warmer for the end of the month compared to what it was. But I still see some cold mornings out there for sure, which is normal, right? That's kind of normal. You're going to see that in the spring. Some ups and downs. You're going to get some 50-degree mornings, and you're going to get some 30-degree mornings until probably the middle of April. All right, and then finally, roughly sometime in April is our last freeze. Usually somewhere in the middle of the month, if my mind is straight. Not sure if it's straight, but is generally about when we see that last freeze. And that's something the farmers definitely need to know. So I know they kind of look at these long range, but you got to take them with a grain of salt, guys. All right, so let's go way back. And I don't see anything is jumping out at me. Here's the cold. We want to see what this does with the cold, right? So here we are. This has got to be the Friday night, right? Here we go. Sunday night into Monday. The front goes through. Boom. We're dropping. It's got us as high as 65. That's a bit warmer than what the model was showing right before midnight Monday night. And then boom, 6 hours later, we're down to 29 already by morning, by 8 o'clock. And then here we are, 24, 23. So what's the high on Monday? Well, the high on Monday comes at midnight, and it's going to be like 29 degrees, right? Somewhere right here, 38 maybe. 0Z Monday. Monday's high right there will be somewhere around 50, and you're going to say to yourself, oh, it's not so bad, right? If you look back at the numbers, you're thinking it wasn't so bad of a day. But the reality is that's coming at 1 in the morning or 2 in the morning, right? And then it's going to be colder the rest of the day. As a matter of fact, 15Z, which is that it would be 1 o'clock, right? We're talking 11 o'clock for this. And then you've got, here it is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's only 23, and we still have the 20-knot wind in here for the GFS is what it's showing, all right, for the global model. And I still see a lot of cold air back off to our northwest on this. So we move it along. It doesn't get us out of the low 20s to mid 20s at best on Tuesday. And with a big wind, we're talking about wind chills. What does it do overnight? Does it bring us down to single digits? Does it just go to like 11 or 12? Yep, it stops somewhere around that at probably 14, maybe 12 mark, somewhere in there, which is what we've been shooting for Tuesday morning. Look at this, minus 11, though, in Minnesota makes me think that there's some possibility we might get colder. We might drop to 8 or 9 on Tuesday morning. And with a 15-knot wind, you're definitely below 0 with your wind chills. Even 14 and a 15 steady with gusts to 20, 25, you have a 0 to minus 10 wind chill on Tuesday morning next week. Tuesday morning. It's Friday now, so that's something to keep in mind. And then it stays cold on Tuesday. We only get back up to 25. Wednesday morning, it's not as bad. It's still in the 20s. And by Wednesday afternoon, we're in the 40s to near 50 by Wednesday afternoon. So we're rebounding pretty quickly. And that's normal, too, in the spring. These things happen quick. We don't get like this week-long, 10 to 15 degrees and steady, and then we're only 20 in the afternoon. We see a lot more of these ups and downs. Of course, I've been telling you that for days and weeks now, but that's kind of the idea, right? So there we are. Look at that. Even into the evening hours, Thursday evening next week, we're in the mid-50s, all right? And then it cools off a little bit overnight. You got a couple, there's the high passing, so then you've got some 40s and 50s. A lot of your temperatures are pretty decent for this time of the year. We're going to be slightly above normal, it looks like, on most of these temperatures after that. Look at this, 97 in Kansas City, out in not Kansas City. Kansas City's over here in central Kansas. 97 degrees on 22 March, all right? 22 March. Let's go back a few days and see how cold it is there. When does it go back? They're in the 80s and 90s. Look at that, 87 on March 20th, just the day before, a couple days before. 80s, and then where's their cold? And then look at that. They're at 28 degrees on March 17th, and 3 days later, they're at 90. Wow. Wow. So there's some big temperature changes. You're going to see that in different places across the country, all right? Some very warm temperatures there. And we saw the precipitation. Let's take a look at what it says for models. Let's take a look at that. That's where the precip comes from. We see the system. Remember that little blurb we were talking about? My blurb, my fancy meteorological word. There it is, pointed right at us again for this is tomorrow night, right? Yeah, tomorrow morning. Sorry, whether we could see some flurries tomorrow morning or not. We'll have to see how that happens. And then we move on out. Here comes the big system. Bam, coming through. It looks just like the others, right? Looks like it has a little more snow on the backside with it, but it falls apart as it comes through us for snow. I'm going to let it go through, and then I'm going to ask it for 24-hour snow accumulations. Doesn't show much, but it shows 1/3 of an inch. With the Kuchera model shows about 1/2 an inch. So there's 1/2 an inch potential, but the ground is warm and wet. So let's think about that a little bit more, and the chances of snow actually accumulating will be slim, but there is some potential. There will be snow out there. And with some colder temperatures, it's going to make the roads icy in spots. So Monday night into Tuesday could be, actually all day Monday into Tuesday could be pretty treacherous with cold weather, nasty cold wind chills, leftover snow from the system going through. It's going to be a big change from what we see on Saturday and into Sunday. Then we have another quick moving system that comes by on Tuesday night into Wednesday. We're getting a lot of nighttime, Tuesday night into Wednesday kind of things when our systems come through. We're getting good timing on that. We're not getting daytime when thunderstorms come through in the afternoons a lot. So that's the good news on that front. Even the stuff that comes through Sunday, the most of the severe weather will be south. And I'll go check that out here in a second. There's a high going by, low pressure system going by. No big storms there, nothing big coming in anywhere. Now I'm out to March 24th, Tuesday, the following Tuesday. There's a little setup of some rain possibly over us. No big systems. There's one, I would call that a spring type system starting to set up, but that's late into March now for that coming through. So far out, not worth anything worth talking about, right? All right, so let's go to the National Weather Service real quick. I think I've got Indy in here. Do I have it? Interactive Weather Indy. There it is. And see what they have on our forecast for, I want severe weather. Going to look at this. So right now we look pretty nice, right? Not too bad. Let's see what it looks like for the outlook for the next couple of days, right? There's your chances for thunderstorms. This is March 13th. This is today, right? So there's your chances. Not much for a chance of thunderstorms just about anywhere in the country today. Let me see if I might have to go back to the regular one. All right, start with day one. Here we are, all right? So there's your outlook for where thunderstorms may be. Day two looks like this. This is tomorrow. We see a little bit of a problem out west, but nothing really to worry about. Day three. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Whoop, there you go. Whoop, there you go. Where's Lafayette? Right on the northern edge of the highest risk area, which it gets all the way up to. Let's see. I'm colorblind, so let's try to figure this out. They do this. Thunderstorms anywhere in the area. All right. Marginal in this. Yellow is slight. This is your enhanced area for thunderstorms. All right. And your potential for tornadoes is possible. And this would be for the system that comes through Sunday night into Monday morning. And it will cross our area and be through us. And we are on the northern edge. Again, we are more in the slight category. But I'll remind you, right, the other day, the enhanced area was right here. And we were just on the southern edge, but still in the yellow that day, too. But a tornado went all the way across Illinois and into Indiana that day and killed 2 people in Village City, I think it was. Is that the name of the place that was there along the state line in Indiana? A couple people's home was destroyed and killed both of the folks inside, unfortunately. But there's your severe weather for Sunday night into Monday. All right, Sunday night into Monday is where we're going to be looking for this. Late in the day, Sunday night, and then into Monday as we go for it. Now let's go a little farther out and see if it's got anything. It gets very wishy-washy on this older. Well, it does show us a little something for day 4, day 5. You know, see, conditions are very low, but we weren't even looking at anything on that before, but that just gives you an idea. So there you go. Here's your enhanced areas, a little bit of intensity-wise. It just says a pretty strong intensity for thunderstorms in that entire area there, with your best chances for the severe weather to be right here. So I think they have the readout. What does it tell us about this day? Discussion-wise, initial activity, Arkansas into Texas. Finishing up in southern Indiana, central and southern Indiana, much of southern Illinois, Kentucky, and Tennessee. The shear environment will be rapidly increasing during this time and will forecast sounding show low levels of instability. It will be more than sufficient to sustain a strongly forced QLCS, which is storm complexes, right? Producing corridors of signature wind damage and a few embedded tornadoes. So mostly wind, right? Mostly wind with this system is what we're looking at least on this first discussion, a couple days out. We're still 3 days out from it. It's Friday now, so you got to go Friday, Saturday, now into Sunday, and it's late on Sunday when it gets near us. But anywhere along the rivers there, you're talking down the Mississippi, right? Down the Ohio, and then coming in from the Wabash right there. But as it gets up to Lafayette, it starts to die away. That tells me, though, Monticello's in this, and Lafayette's just out of it. We'll fine-tune that over the next day or two. And since it's probably severe weather, I will probably come in with some short blurbs for you guys off and on over the next day or two to let you know what's going on with that, all right? So that's what we're seeing there. On that front for the severe weather, Man, things are going pretty good this morning. I like what I'm seeing here. It's windy outside. Be prepared if you step out those doors to lose your hat. That's what you're going to be losing. All right, but we had a big basketball game last night, Purdue. I'm switching over to sports now because that's what I like to do, and I like to see what's going on in the sports world. And, it's just one of those things that I enjoy to really talk about a lot is sports and weather, of course. I remember Rex Troutman, good guy. I loved him. He would always jab me about my sports when I played my sports when I was in the Marine Corps because it was pretty tough and rough sports. You don't get the Marines, and well, that's how I got hurt. But you don't go to the Marines and play anything without getting kind of rough and tough with it. So he would always jab at me a little bit about my softball and playing football and that kind of thing. But it was pretty fun. We had fun. I enjoyed Rex a lot, and so it was pretty good. Good timing there on WLFI when I was on WLFI way back 25 years ago now already. So, all right, so what are we running into for Purdue? They won last night very easily. They just ran over poor Northwestern, who had just won 2 games in a row and was playing their 3rd game back-to-back. And it looked like that. In the first 10 minutes, Purdue pretty much took control and then kind of ran away with it. But what are we going to run into tonight? First off, the information, game notes from what happened last night is they didn't really see anything. Let me take a look and see if they put anything out about the men's basketball team last night. The first thing I popped on to was they're going to battle Nebraska. Here we go. Purdue starts fast and rolls past Northwestern pretty easy. Just some of the numbers I'm going to run through real quick. Purdue's now played in the quarterfinals in every Big Ten tournament since 2015. The win improves Purdue to 24-8 overall and into Friday's quarterfinal round against, of course, number 11, Nebraska, who we've beaten already, but is a darn good team. Now, Purdue never trailed in topping Northwestern last night. 81-68 was the final outcome. Really, they just kind of got it, the big lead, and then they just kind of held them out there with their hands. Hey, stay there. You're not going to get close enough. Never got it inside a dozen or so. A lot of times it was 20 to 25 points for much of the second half. And then they kind of took their foot off the accelerator a little bit, but just kind of held out there like, riding the brake just a little bit so that the game would end like it did. So no problems. Nobody got hurt, I don't think. Matt Painter improved to 19-17 in the Big Ten tournament. You're going to lose almost every year you're in it, right? So so if he's 19-17 in 19 years, that tells me he won 2 of them. And those are the 4th most wins in tournament history. And Purdue's 8 wins in the Big Ten tournament since 21-22 are the most in the conference, posting an 8-3 record during that time frame. I know they won one, of course. They got to the finals at least once or twice, so and they were highly rated all those years. Let's see, Braden Smith, TKR, and Fletcher Lawyer have tied a school record for most wins in a Big Ten tournament with 6. So if they win tonight, that would be a 7 on their record. That'd be pretty good. And Purdue improved to 12-3 in games played away from Mackey this season, with 7 of those wins coming by at least 10 points. And Purdue recorded 25 assists on 30 made field goals against just 7 turnovers. You're going to want to go watch the video of Braden Smith's. It ended up becoming an assist where he makes a steal. He has to dive out of bounds, and he bats the ball forward, and then Omer Meyer runs down the court, grabs it, one dribble, boom, in for the bucket, and that's an assist right there. It was an assist. He got 16 assists, right? It tied his career high at 16, and the second most in game in Purdue history. The other time he had 16 assists in a game was guess who? Northwestern, January 31st of 2024. So that was 2 years ago. But 16 assists are Big Ten. Was that their record? It had been 15 before. And he now has 66 career assists in Big Ten tournament play, the most in league history. And he also moved into second place all time, and he now has 1,045. He needs 32 assists to surpass Bobby Hurley for the record. That would be 3 or 4 games in my count, because I think you're going to see a lot of assists out of him in these coming games, especially the first game in the NCAAs. Today it'll probably be 8-10, maybe 12. You'll see that, and then tomorrow, if they win tonight, they can continue on. He'll be at that 8-10 mark because the competition's getting tougher and tougher. And then as you get into NCAA's, that first game might be 10-15 again, and then the second game probably back to 8-10 or 12. And it also just depends on how guys make shots, He easily could have had 20 yesterday. There were missed shots. They don't all go down. Guys aren't trying to miss, all right? Oscar Clough had a great game. Recorded his 7th double-double. He had 19 points and 10 rebounds. And when Clough has a double-double, the team is 7-0. Trey Kaufman-Renn had 19, so it looks like the guys down low did most of the work. He also had 6 rebounds and 2 assists, and he was 8 of 9 from the field. Clough was 7 of 10, so between them, they were 15 of 19. Woohoo! You can take that all day, right? In his last 3 games in the Big Ten tournament, Trey Kaufman-Renn is averaging 24.3 points a game, dating back to last season. All right, so there was a lot that went on last night, right? Next up, though, for Purdue is Nebraska tonight. Let me go to that one real quick here because I do have the time. I believe it's at 6:30. They got the 6:30 game again tonight is what they have. All right, 6:30 tonight on a Friday night. It is, who is playing it? It's on Big Ten Network again. It does again have Kevin Kugler, Robbie Hummel, and Andy Katz as your television announcers. And, of course, on the Purdue Global Radio Network, Rob Blackman and Bobby Rydell will bring you the sounds of the court at the time. All right, so that's pretty good there. And Purdue's numbers overall now, 24-8. They are 13-7 in the Big Ten. We know where they finished, but that doesn't mean this is not a team anybody wants to see in the tournament, especially if they get it going. They know it's go time now, right? Now it's when you see Braden diving into the stands practically to get a ball and get an assist, and you know what their mindset is now. The mindset is we are going to run over everybody we can until we can't run over anybody anymore, and that's the way it should be. That should be the mindset. You're down to that last point, so that's what you have to do. So they are 12-5 at home this year, 8-3 away, and 4-0 on neutral courts. They advanced to the Big Ten quarterfinals with a wire-to-wire win, 81-68 last night. And Purdue is 1-1 against Nebraska in the Big Ten tournament. They defeated the Huskers 79-61 in 2012 in the first round, and they fell to the Huskers 57-55 in the first round in 2013. So we're talking 10 years ago was the last time they played Nebraska. All right. In this kind of format anyway. With the appearance in Friday's quarterfinals, Purdue has now played in the quarterfinals in every Big Ten tournament since 2015, and Purdue is 2-1 all-time against the number 2 seed, defeating Illinois in the 2009 semifinals and Illinois in the 1998 semifinals, and it lost to Michigan State in the 2016 title game. That's because Nebraska's number 2, right? Nebraska ended up being number 2, and they earned that. They played really well. Purdue is 22-7 all-time against Nebraska, while head coach Matt Painter is 16-5 against the Huskers. All right, so those are the big numbers like that. What are some of the things we can look for tonight? Besides the fact they've improved to 12-3 in games played away from Mackey Arena this season, and Braden had the 16 assists, and he's moving towards the assist record, and there could be enough games, might not be enough games. We'll have to see. It would be nice to see him play at least 2 more in this, maybe all 3 to get to the championship, but they got to win the game tonight first, right? And all these records, all these things, every time this group of guys plays, Fletch, TKR, and Braden, they play together. They're setting records, team records for Purdue. So just remember that too. Some tidbits that were at the bottom here that aren't those 3 guys. Omer Meyer has 15 points and 3 assists in 27 minutes over his last 2 games for Purdue. Wow, that's pretty good. Jakari Harris is shooting 21-43 from 3-point range away from Mackey Arena. In Mackey this year, he's 7-36. Very odd, but I think he had 1 or 2 last night. Oscar Clough is averaging 15-9 away from Purdue. All right, so actually, just in his last 2 games. So those are some of the numbers that we have in front of us. What are they going to encounter? How are they going to get to that? What are they going? Nebraska's a solid team. They play kind of like Purdue. They've got sets. They do certain things and specific things. They try to play good, solid defense, and they just try to see what's going on and feel you out and get you through it. And at Nebraska, Purdue got a big lead and then let them back in the game. Did not keep the foot on the accelerator. And I have to tell you, over the 4 years, this team has been known for that. Teams think they can come back on Purdue after they've gotten a big lead. And it continually happens. It's happened probably a dozen times already this season. Teams come back after Purdue's gotten a lead on them or even a big lead on them. And in most cases, yes, you still end up winning the game. But the point being is UCLA won a game that way, right? Nebraska almost won a game that way. Teams get close, and they think they can come back and beat you when you give it up to teams that you shouldn't be, especially like when you lose to UCLA at UCLA when you had the lead with a few minutes left and you had a 6-point lead, or you were up by 12, I think it was, on Nebraska with a minute and a half, and you ended up going into overtime. Teams think that. Nebraska thinks they can come back on you no matter what. You get ahead of them. So you get ahead of them and you get farther ahead. And then the next minute you get farther ahead. And you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Make it hard on them all the way through this, all right? You're also battling for a seed. Right now, they are probably a 3 seed, but they may be the last 3 seed. But they could be as high as the last 2 seed or the beginning of, the 4th seeds. You don't really want that 4th seed because you're gonna meet a number 1 coming up in the second round of the NCAAs, right? You would like to be the 2 seed where you're never going to hit somebody that's a better seed than you, or a 3 seed where you may encounter the 4 seed. Is what you'll encounter is a possibility from that, right? Or in the second round, you're going to play, let's see, the first round would be 8s and 9s. If you're a 2 seed, it would be the 7s and 10s, right? If you're a 3 seed, it's the 6s and 11s. So you're going to play a 5-12 if you're a 4 seed. You don't want to do that. We know what the record is with 5-12s, right? Lots of upsets in those games. All right, so let's get back real quick here. I know we're talking Purdue sports. We've been talking a little bit about the game tonight, what happened last night. We're also talking a bunch of weather because I am a weatherman. Let's go back to it real quick. Let's see what the temperature is outside right now, just to give you a heads up. 48 degrees, so we have warmed up a little bit. Winds 25 miles an hour outside. We're probably seeing gusts of 30, 35. It was stronger this morning. It will slowly slowly die down as the day goes on. So expect 25 most until the afternoon, but with a slow decrease throughout that period. Tomorrow morning, going to turn pretty chilly for us, for those of you that are out and about it, compared to what it has been. Going to be very warm on Sunday. We're going to think this is great. Look at spring has sprung. And then by Monday morning, we're going to ask what hit us after the thunderstorms go through and the temperatures drop down into the 20s and don't get out of the 20s for most of the day on Monday. As a matter of fact, Monday's high will probably be around 50, but it'll be at midnight. By 6 in the morning when you're going to work, it's going to be 28 degrees and the winds are going to be 30 miles an hour. And you're going to be like, Brian, the wind chill's 0 to 10. And then it's going to get even colder as the day goes on and just stay there. By Tuesday morning, we're talking 10, 11, 12 degrees. And again, wind chill with somewhere around -5 to 0 potential. This is spring. This is what we get in spring. And then we'll spring right back. Tuesday into Wednesday, it starts to get warmer and warmer. And you'll see that trend have to get us on that. So Monday, Sunday night into Monday, the storm comes through, drops everything off. It hangs on. By Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we start to warm up and we get better and better. That is it for me right now. After the timeout when we had a power outage, I was still able to get on and talk to you all here. I'm going to start doing all of my stuff right here on my channel for Burden on Society channel, BOS, and that channel will be where I'll start doing everything. I'll drag everything from Let's Talk Lafayette over there. So for right now, I'm your meteorologist, Bryden Burden. That was Let's Talk Lafayette on a Forever Friday, because it seemed like it went on forever. This is Friday, March 13th, 2026. I will talk to you guys on Monday. I will definitely do some shorts if we need them, and maybe be on the air Sunday evening as those thunderstorms come through. That's it for now. Enjoy your Friday, and try to hold your hat on.